If you ever wanted to catch your own crawfish here in California, but had no idea where to start, this video is for you. A lot of people think crawfishing is as simple as throwing a trap into the water and waiting. The truth is, that's exactly why so many people come home with empty traps. Today, I'm going to show you the exact gear I use, the regulations you need to know, the best bait, where to set your traps, and the simple tips that have helped me consistently catch more crawfish. By the end of this video, you'll have everything you need to catch your own crawfish. Let's get started. First things first, before you even think about setting traps in the water, let's talk about California regulations. You need a valid California sport fishing license if you plan on catching crawfish. So make sure you have one before you're heading out. Next, make sure you're using a legal trap. In California, crawfish traps cannot exceed 3 feet at their longest dimension. It's a simple regulation, but it's one that a lot of beginners don't know about. Another important thing to remember is that although signal crawfish are considered invasive species and generally do not have a possession limit, there is a certain lakes, rivers, and waterways throughout California where harvesting crawfish is prohibited. Regulations can change depending on where you're fishing, so always check the current California fishing regulations for the specific body of water you're planning to visit before you go. Now that we've covered the legal side of things, let's talk about where to actually find crawfish. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is thinking that crawfish are just everywhere. They aren't. Location makes a huge difference. Whenever I'm looking for a crawfish, I start by looking for rocky shorelines, as crawfish love rocks because they provide shelter from predators and plenty of places to hide during the day. Don't completely ignore muddy or sandy bottoms, as well as I've caught plenty of crawfish in those areas too. If I had to choose one type of habitat to start with, I pick rocky areas almost every single time. Another place I always pay attention to is areas with submerged trees, fallen branches, or wood in the water. These areas provide excellent coverage and also food sources like algae, insects, and aquatic plants that crawfish naturally feed on. The more structure you can find, the better your chances are. Now let's talk about what I think is one of the most important parts of crawfishing, and that's your bait. In my opinion, the stronger the set, the better. I've had great success using fish scraps, chicken liver, and fish scented cat food. These all produce a strong scent trail that helps attract crawfish from further away. If you're using canned cat food, here's a simple trick that works really well. Instead of opening the can completely, just poke several holes in the top. This allows the scent to slowly escape the water while preventing the crawfish from crawling inside and eating all of the bait. If you're using fish scraps or chicken liver, I highly recommend putting them inside a bait container like this one, as they keep the crawfish actually from eating your bait. That's important because if the crawfish eat all your bait, your trap stops attracting new crawfish, and your night is probably going to end a lot sooner than you like. Trust me, I learned that the lesson the hard way, and when I first started, I used to throw bait directly into my traps, and after pulling the traps, the crawfish would completely devour the bait and leaving almost nothing left. Once I started protecting my bait inside, I was able to reuse them, and my catches became much more consistent through the night. Now let's look at the gear I personally use. This is a style crawfish trap that I like using. It's simple, effective, and easy to transport. For shore fishing, I use about a 60 feet rope. Honestly, unless you're fishing very deep waters or dropping traps from a boat, you really don't need much more than that. I also attach a buoy to every trap. That way the buoy makes it much easier to locate my traps, especially after it gets dark. Another reason I like using a buoy is because it helps other people see where my trap is located, reducing the chance of someone accidentally running into it. Speaking of traps, here's another tip that I think is really important. Stay close to your traps whenever possible. Unfortunately, trap theft does happen, especially in popular areas. Staying nearby not only lets you keep an eye on your gear, but it also allows you to check in your traps more frequently and make adjustments if needed. So, how long should you leave your traps in the water? Personally, I like to let mine soak for about an hour before checking them. When I pull my traps up, I'm paying close attention to which trap is producing the most crawfish. If I notice that one trap is consistently catching more than others, I'll relocate my remaining traps closer to that productive area. One of the biggest mistakes people make is leaving every trap exactly where they first placed it. Instead, let the crawfish tell you where they are. Sometimes moving a trap just 20 or 30 feet can completely change your results. Now let's talk about timing. If you really want to increase your chances of catching crawfish, fish at night. Signal crawfish are primarily nocturnal. Once the sun goes down, they leave their hiding places and begin actively searching for food. That's exactly why we're taking advantage of. Nighttime is when I consistently have my best success, and it's when you'll often find crawfish walking around in the shallow water along the shoreline. Which brings me to one of my favorite tips. Don't just sit around while your traps are soaking, be proactive. Grab a dip net and start walking in the shoreline. The longer the handle of your dip net, the better. It allows you to reach further into the water without getting too close and scaring off the crawfish. You'll also want to bring a good flashlight and a comfortable headlamp. Having both makes a huge difference because you can keep both hands free while being able to spot crawfish moving around. And don't forget extra batteries or portable power bank. The last thing you want is for your light to die halfway throughout the night. One of the best parts about this strategy is that while your traps are catching crawfish, you're also catching crawfish by hand with your dip net. You're making the most of every minute while you're out there. Now let's talk about the species we're actually catching. These are signal crawfish. They usually have a brown coloration with hints of blue, especially around the claws, while Louisiana red swamp crawfish are much brighter red. Personally, I prefer eating signal crawfish. In my experience, they're larger, meatier, and better in terms of flavor. Before we wrap things up, I want to leave you with a few quick tips that can make your trips even more successful. Bring extra bait, as you never know when you'll need it. Wear gloves if you're handling a lot of crayfish. Bring waterproof boots if you're walking along the rocky shorelines. Watch your footing because wet rocks can be extremely slippery. Pack out all your trash and leave every area cleaner than you found it. Always respect other anglers and everyone else enjoying the outdoors. And finally, remember that crawfishing isn't about having the most expensive gear. Success comes from understanding where crawfish live, using fresh bait and plenty of scent, making adjustments throughout the night, and being patient. If you're focused on these 4 things, you'll be surprised how quickly your catches improve. Hopefully this video helped make crawfishing a little less intimidating and gave you the confidence you needed to head out and try it for yourself. If you learned something new today and this video helped you out, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button so that it can reach others like yourself. Subscribe if you enjoy fishing, foraging, and outdoor adventures. And if you're interested in seeing an example of how I catch these crawfish in the wild, check out this video right here. I'll see you over there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next adventure.